This is Smarter San Diego TV.
My first rabbi.
Yes, my first rabbi too. We're doing this together.
Let me tell you, right now is one of the most crucial moments I've ever seen in the stock market. It's been high for a very long time. You don't have to wait until you have kids to go, but it is a kid-friendly brewery. Ron and Patty, I love Ron. What a funny little guy, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's a funny little guy, Ron.
And Patty's adorable. Our next guest is the founding organizer of the Jewish Collaborative of San Diego. Please welcome for the first time, Rabbi Josh Burrows.
There he is.
Hello.
The rabbi's here.
If we say for the first time, does that mean that there's going to be many appearances after this?
There
We
could
don't know.
be.
She didn't say first of many.
We'll
She
see how
said
this
the
one
first
goes.
time.
We'll see how this one goes.
Josh, thank you
Yes.
so much for coming today. Really appreciate it. You're doing some amazing
My
things.
pleasure.
Yeah, you're the first rabbi I've ever met. So I'm telling people you're my rabbi. Is that okay?
That's fine. I'm not the first rabbi I ever met, but it's nice to be the first rabbi you ever met. Yeah.
So the Jewish Collaborative of San Diego, that's actually your synagogue.
That's my synagogue.
You started that.
I started it with my wife, and the help of a number of truly incredible leaders. We've been really lucky and blessed to have the people come on who've come on. It's been very special. Very special.
That's got to be some kind of journey from the idea of
Yeah.
we should start our own thing
Imagine.
Yeah.
to actually making it happen. I mean, tell me a little bit about that, what you learned and what that experience was like.
Some kind of journey is about right. In a way, we kind of backed into it. You know, I mostly grew up in New York, and to be Jewish in New York, you would never think about starting your own synagogue because, like I always say, you can't pick up a rock and throw it without hitting a Jew or hitting a synagogue in any direction. And so you just would never think of building a synagogue because the place is saturated. But we found ourselves out here and in a situation where we were kind of trying to figure out what to do next. And we looked around, and lo and behold, we felt like the place was right and the time was right in our lives to kind of give it a shot. The problem was that the way that typical synagogues work are, you know, they're facing some pretty significant challenges this day and age.
Yeah.
And we thought if we were going to try to open our own synagogue, we wanted to do it a little bit different. And so we came up with an idea and started sort of running with it.
Is the
And
idea the
it's
collaborative part?
Yeah, actually, originally it was a cooperative.
Cooperative.
Judaism in particular is facing some fascinating challenges right now. And the challenges are sophisticated. They're hard to understand. But the long and the short of it is we believe that synagogues weren't organizing themselves in the right sort of direction to empower its members. They had organized themselves like mid-sized businesses. And as such, members of the congregations didn't have any opportunity to kind of create experiences for themselves. So we were looking for a type of model where, you know, members could create experiences for themselves, and what we came up with was the collaborative model. And so originally, CH4SD was the San Diego Jewish Co-op. We were going to be a cooperative. And we started organizing as a cooperative. We started, you know, writing bylaws as if we were going to be a cooperative. And then we found out that the state of California has an interesting legal statute that you can't actually be a cooperative unless you're growing something or selling something that's edible or smokable, or both edible and smokable, depending on what format it's in. And
you guys weren't involved in that.
We weren't involved in that line of business as a synagogue. And so we ended up choosing the word collaborative instead of cooperative. So what we are...
That was a big fork in the road, wasn't it? Because you could have gone...
It was very interesting. We ended up solving some interesting problems that we were starting to face, because as a cooperative, we would have to revenue share and debt share. So at the end of the year, if we were kind of like in the plus on the revenue side, then that would be wonderful. We could split that evenly among our congregants. Everybody gets a penny, and now we've broken even on a year. But if we're in debt, then we'd have to figure out how to share the debt as a community. And that felt, it made us all very uncomfortable. And so, but we were stuck in it because that's what a cooperative does. And then as soon as we couldn't be a cooperative anymore, it kind of solved that problem for us. So it's actually been helpful.
One problem solved.
Yeah, exactly.
Many more
Check
to
that
go.
off the list, yeah.
So as rabbi, I imagine that people come to you, and you've got an extensive education. Tell us really quickly about your education in
Well, I went to Harvard Law School after that. It's like any other grad school. So I graduated high school. I went to Ithaca College in Ithaca, New York. as a New Yorker, regular bachelor's degree, and then rabbinical school is graduate school. And so I took a couple of years between undergrad and grad school, and applied to and got accepted to a place called Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion, which is a rabbinical school. They have 4 campuses worldwide. One's in Jerusalem, 3 stateside, 1 in New York, 1 in Cincinnati, and 1 in LA. And so I went to my first year of rabbinical school in Jerusalem, and then 4 more years in New York. And when all was said and done, I have a master's degree in Hebrew literature, basically, and then the rabbinical degree, which is sort of like 1 or 2 steps below a doctorate.
So well-educated in Judaism. Let's say that. Can we say
why
that?
not? Sure.
Okay.
You know what it is? In rabbinical school, I learned more about what I don't know. I learned how to find out things that I don't know, and I learned that there's a lot that I don't know. That's the gist of it. Yeah.
How much of it is about seeking truth versus teaching Scripture?
None of it about any of that.
Not about any of
That's
that.
a joke. I'm just kidding. It is about that. A lot of it's about that, but it also depends on what your particular journey is. Because for some people, what they're looking to do is they're looking to really connect themselves to a cultural truth. You want to be able to tell a story about your lineage, right? And so that's where it's at for a lot of folks. But for a lot of folks, it's being able to connect yourself to the words of the Bible or whatever's going on, I kind of define spirituality as the way in which any single person connects to a concept that's larger than themselves. And depending on what that concept is, that's going to define what your search is.
Okay,
So,
makes sense. But now as rabbi, you have people who come to you and ask you all these questions, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Careful what you wish for, right? Because
Yeah.
now everyone comes to you, they expect you to have the answers.
Well,
So
yes.
in that regard, there's some really big things that are going on out there in the world of religion.
Yeah.
We have extremism now. That's something that's a big deal. A lot of it seems to be Islamic extremism. There is some Christian extremism too.
There's extremism everywhere, unfortunately.
I haven't heard much about the Jewish extremists. I'm sure they
have 'em.
exist somewhere.
Yeah.
There's somewhere they're out there.
Yeah.
But what do you do when someone comes to you and says, Rabbi, there's all these bad things going on in the world in the name of religion. People want to kill us. They don't even know us.
Yeah.
How do you guide someone through that thought process as a human being in this climate?
We are right now at a perfect storm of doubt against the world of faith. We're experiencing it from kind of all angles. On one hand, there's an incredible amount of doubt to be found in just the current events of what's going on. When religion can inspire, when just religion in general can inspire a person to kill another person, which it does so often, well, it's like, what does that say about religion? And that's one end of the attack that is happening against people who want to believe in something larger than themselves. Even beyond terrorism, there are challenges in just the narrative and the way that we talk about faith. The way that we think about it now, it's almost like you've got 2 choices. You either believe that Adam and Eve are real, and therefore you can be a person of faith, or you don't believe that Adam and Eve is real, and then you have to just drop the whole thing. You have to drop all of it. And the truth is, it's a lot more sophisticated than that. It's like a lot more, you can be more intellectual about faith than what that type of argument offers.
I was going to ask you, if you say, I don't know, does that mean you're not spiritual?
I think I don't know is the essence of faith. See, that's the thing of it, right? Because you don't stand at the base of Mount Kilimanjaro and go, I'm enormous. You stand at the base of Mount Kilimanjaro and you go, I am so insignificant and tiny, I can't believe it. Like, how am I even alive? I'm so small. And that's the experience that faith is supposed to give you, because God is so much bigger than that, right? And so to claim knowing as a person of faith is something that, for me at least, is beyond my ability to really understand how that works. To me, the essence of faith is that it pulls along with it intense doubt, right? But because of my faith, I also can see the miracle in things. I can recognize that I'm nothing but, this is from a Jewish text, I can recognize that I'm nothing but dust and ashes, and that's all I am, is just a piece of dust on a piece of dust floating through the infinite,
Dust.
Dust. Yeah, exactly.
It's true.
It's true. And yet, the mathematical probability of my existence is so tiny that you have to say it's miraculous at the same time. So it's like we walk this gamut of like the whole world was created just for us, and we're here to experience these amazing things, and we're nothing. We're just nothing. And to me, that's like the essence of faith. The problem is, like anything else, every institution is susceptible to unhealthy personality, to greed, to cult of personality, and to corruption, certainly, and some really terrible things. And so in the same way that you see what happens, to scientific processes when it becomes about profit, you also see what happens to the efforts of religion when it becomes about politics and power and money and things like that. And it's never good, unfortunately.
Well, Rabbi Josh Burrows, thank you
Yes.
so much for your time today.
Oh my gosh.
We will be having you back.
Did we solve all the world's problems in 7 minutes?
We
We
did.
scratched the surface.
We scratched the surface of the world's
Hey,
problems. That's all
continue
it
your
takes.
great work in
Thank you.
advancing religious studies
Oh, thank you.
along with the
will.
culture and with the times, because I think that's extremely important for the future
I look forward to
of
it.
faith.
I look forward. And next time I'm going to wear a red shirt.
You should do that. And stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else, commercial free.
Our next guest is back by popular demand. Please welcome from Wealthbridge Insurance Solutions, Glenn LaBar.
There he is. Glenn, what's up,
you.
man? How you doing?
Great, how you doing, Derek? Thanks for having us back.
Great response from the last segment that we did. People were very interested in the stuff that was going on with Social Security. It's obviously a huge deal, but then there's a lot more to retirement planning than just Social Security. Hopefully.
Absolutely.
And one of those things is rolling over your company contributions in like your 401k or IRA. You want to talk about that today? Tell us, what do people really need to know about that? Because people ask me all the time, should I roll this over? Should I do this? Should I do that? A lot of people want to know the answers to this, Glenn.
Well, the simple answer is yes. You absolutely want to roll over your 401k or your retirement plan from your employer. And here's the reason why. All of them will offer you a lump sum rollover option, but they will all offer you a monthly income throughout retirement. The problem is here. If you accept their monthly income, say they give you $2,000 a month for the rest of your life, and you pass away 2 years later, guess what? You've just lost the remainder of all your retirement funds. You don't have control over the remainder of the funds once you turn on the income. Now, of course, many of them will offer you a spousal benefit, and what that really means is for a reduced amount, instead of $2,000 a month for yourself and your life, individual life, they'll pay you $1,500 a month for your life and your spouse's life. But let's just say, when you both have passed on, there's still money left there that rightfully should go to your children or your heirs, your beneficiaries, whomever that may be. You lose that. So once you turn on the retirement pension type income, you no longer have access or have the ability to capture the remainder of those funds if there's anything left.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So for a lot of these people who are like, let's say, city workers and stuff like that have this retirement benefits, sort of the pension benefits built in, there's actually a lot of strategy, it sounds like, that's involved in trying to figure out the best formula for how to take those benefits.
Absolutely.
When the time comes.
Absolutely. And what most people don't know is once you reach age 59 and a half, you're allowed to do what's called an in-force transfer. So most people say, I'm going to retire at 66, and I've I heard about this rollover, but I can't do it till I retire. Not true. You can roll over any amount you want from age 59 and a half on. And the reason you want to do that, quite frankly, is most of your retirement benefits are in some sort of series of mutual funds or stocks and bonds, and they're vulnerable to the ups and downs in the market. And as you get closer to that retirement date, say age 66, and your money's in the stock market, and all of a sudden we get a downturn a year or two before you're going to retire, there goes 40% of your funds that you were counting on retiring in just a year ahead of time. By doing a rollover prior to your actual retirement date, whatever you roll over, you can put it in more of a conservative, more of a safe environment. And at Wealthbridge Insurance Solutions, that's what we do. We definitely lean on the side of safety. Are we a little more conservative? Well, of course we are, but we're here to protect what you have.
Yeah, a lot of what you do, I'm sure, is about how not to lose money, right?
Absolutely.
Really, our job is to make sure we don't lose you any money, right? That's like rule number one in investing is how much could I lose here? And a lot of people don't think about that. They're always thinking about how much can I gain? So having these strategies in place is really, really important because there is a lot of risk out there that's super downplayed.
It is.
It's downplayed hugely.
You hear the story. I mean, there was a big crash in 2001. There was another crash in 2008. There's 2 crashes within a 10-year period. If you were, close to retirement during that period, a lot of people had to start over. A lot of people saw the majority of the retirement funds drop due to the fluctuations in the stock market. And by using, a company like ourselves, that will protect what you have and not put you in a position to be exposed to the market fluctuations, it makes perfect sense as you get closer to your retirement age.
Let's talk about those IRAs and 401ks. Because same kind of situation, right? Where people are trying to figure out what do I do with it, how do I access it? What do I put in? There's different kinds of IRAs. Everyone's 401k is different to some degree.
You're correct.
So how do people even approach? Where do you begin looking at those 2 items that everybody seems to have?
Well, we do a very comprehensive retirement income plan. So there's a few moving parts in that. One is your age. When are you going to retire? Of course, how much money do you need in retirement? The majority of us are going to be receiving Social Security, so you factor in what are you going to get from Social Security, how much have you saved, what is your monthly expenses, and by us gathering as much information as we can, and of course nowadays there's a life expectancy factor. People, a lot of retirement plans were based on people living to 77, 78, but now the average life expectancy is now 85, and that's only increasing. So with a comprehensive retirement income plan, which we can do for you, we'd be happy to offer that for, anytime you want at our office. We could put together a realistic plan, and you'll have a very realistic figure on what you've done up until now or what you need to do from this time until retirement.
So when you say an income plan, what you're saying is we're not just going to say, hey, here's our plan for how we're going to invest your money or where we're going to put it. Here's a plan for how we're going to get you the money you need every month.
Correct.
From now until the end, right?
And like I say, a lot of it's based on what you've done up to this point, but if we can tell you where you stand as of today and where you need to be in 5 or 6 years, it will give you the ability to make the adjustments.
Rebecca, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was going to ask for us younger folk who are just starting our careers, starting businesses, starting our 401ks, what type of advice do you have for really setting ourselves up for that success?
The biggest advice I could say is start. Many people have the ability to contribute to a 401k, and nowadays you can still get some company match in, but a lot of people, from what I hear, aren't taking advantage of that. So if you do have the ability to participate in any type of a company retirement plan, just start and put away 10% and just get used to it being done. I just encourage everybody, take advantage of the company plans that you have access to.
And the pre-tax element is also huge for
absolutely
compound interest and all that stuff. So that's big. I mean, if anyone's ever giving you free money, take it.
Yeah,
I mean, if they're matching you, whatever the percentage is, take that money. That's guaranteed return. And what an advantage that is to have. So let's talk about the proactive financial planning element versus the reactive. We know kind of where most people land in this realm, unfortunately, but explain it to us in your words, the difference and how people can be smarter.
Well, we take a proactive approach, meaning we set up a retirement plan. Quite honestly, most of our clients are 55 and over, and as you get closer to your actual retirement age, if that's being 60, 65, 70, whatever it is, the more involved you get with that retirement plan, and the more the safety factor comes into effect. So as we get older, we park more and more money into a safe position. You can get great rates of return now in safe positions, better than you used to. We slowly transition you out of the market, and we slowly start transitioning you into a place of where you're going to be able to have income from in the very near future. What we've seen, and you know, I know it happens out there, once the stock market takes a drop and you've suffered a loss, you'll hear from your financial advisor, your stockbroker at that time, you know, well, now that we've gone down a little bit, we need to make some adjustments. Well, we believe that the adjustments need to be made ahead of time, more of a proactive approach than a reactive approach.
I think that makes a ton of sense all the way around, to be proactive, especially when you're looking at your finances, because once that money's gone, it's gone. You don't have any way to reallocate it, right? You've got to have that approach up front.
And if you're 60 years old, you don't necessarily have the time to rebuild it compared to a 30-year-old. Yeah.
Fantastic stuff. Glenn LaBar, thank you so much for being here. Really
Thanks
appreciate
again
your
for
time
having
today.
me back. It's great. Thank you, guys.
Fantastic. And stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else, commercial free.
The all-time champion of the real estate debate is back. Please welcome real estate expert Elizabeth Story and her special guest, the CEO of Depot Springs in La Mesa, Aaron Dean.
It is. What's up, my friend? Thank you. Champ, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
All right.
I brought my purple
Thank you for that.
And your money green.
and my money green.
And money green. Well, this is a really cool thing. I know you wanted to bring Aaron on today because you saw this and you were like, oh, that's perfect for me. This is great for the community. Yeah. How did you find out about it, first of all?
Well, we actually have friends in common. Our friends of friends play Little League together, and he was talking about the project, and I thought, oh my gosh. A, why hasn't this been invented yet? And B, I cannot wait to go there. So, you know, we're big fans of craft beers, good food, music.
Who isn't?
Yeah, who isn't? And we have kids. And there's really not a place like this that exists that I know of where you can actually go and enjoy what you want to do as an adult and also have your children learn and grow in a setting where you can all be together but separate.
Interesting. When did the idea come? Everyone wants to know this, I'm sure.
Well, you know, about a year ago we started this project, and it was really about, first it was about beer and restaurant, and then it really became about the community and family, and we really wanted to try to incorporate. We have about 1.5 acres out there, and we were trying to figure out how we could really get families involved. And we just had this idea of why not create almost so what we have created is a 3,000 square foot kids zone that is media free. It has music, it has arts and crafts, it'll have glass design, it'll have ceramics, totally media free. It'll have a horizontal rock climbing wall that's almost 60 feet long. Everything is very tactile. And I get more passionate sometimes talking about the whole kid thing than I even do about the brewery and the restaurant, because San Diego's, you know, obviously we're the craft brew capital, right? So I know we're gonna make amazing beer and we have an amazing head brewer, and I know we can have an amazing restaurant, but I have a 14-year-old. I have 2 kids. I better not leave the other one out. I have an 11 and a 14-year-old. But my 14-year-old is a really well-played guitarist, and there's really nowhere in San Diego I can take my children to listen to music, and there's really nowhere in San Diego I can take my kids out if they want to be, you know, with another family with kids. Where do you go? Yeah. You know, you have the Dave & Buster's, you have the Corvette Diner, you have the Chuck E. Cheese. All are fine places, but it's really not the environment of listening to great music and having great food, and we just wanted to do something that no one else was doing.
So I heard a couple things in there that were really big. I think, first of all, 3,000 square feet for the kids. That's huge. Right. So obviously you have a very big operation there.
We do.
And media free.
Right.
So explain what that means, media free.
So my kids go to the Waldorf school. If you're familiar with it, it is a media-free school. Some parents buy into it completely, which you go to their house, they wouldn't have any kind of newspaper, magazines, or the radio or TV. They wouldn't have TVs in their house. we don't buy into it that much. But there is something to be said these days about these kids and their phones and the iPads and the computers. And
So none of that.
none of that. And I think it's really important to get people back to talking to each other, especially kids. I mean, you see them on a playground, there's no need for phones, and they shouldn't have it in there.
Well, I totally get that. I have a 9-year-old. So, you know, the iPad, the iPhone, it's tough.
It's
I mean,
tough.
it really does poison them. It really
Right.
does. I mean, if they have it for like a day straight or they watch movies or something for a day, they're just terrible.
Right.
So I think that's a great idea. Now, so it's media free, meaning if someone comes and their kids want to get on an iPad, not happening.
Yeah, I mean, in that area, that's really it's a secure area. Kids will get a wristband, parents get a pager. It's not a drop-off location. You know, parents pay by the hour, but everything's included for that hour. So I don't want the kids on the phone. So leave it with the mom and dad. If they want to be on it, the kids are allowed on the whole facility. So feel free to have your kid run around the whole place and, you know, listen to the music on the stages. But when they're in this zone, it's almost like being at camp. There'll be counselors. We're working with Grossmont College on an accredited program for, you know, the students to actually earn credits while they're, you know, doing stuff. So we're really getting the community involved that way.
That's cool. Well, I
Yeah.
know a lot of people thought this was going to be a concert venue because it
Right.
was so big, you know,
Right.
as you were creating. Tell us exactly where it is in La Mesa.
So right on it's 9176 Fletcher Parkway, which is just adjacent to Sioux Plantation and Michael's in the same shopping center.
Okay. All right. So right there. So it's a big facility. Everyone thought it was going to be this new concert venue, which it kind of is.
It is.
But it's also brewery, restaurant, and family gathering
It is.
place.
Yeah, I think that on the music side, you know, we don't want to call ourselves a concert venue. What we have is a really incredible courtyard that has a wonderful stage on it. And as part of our entertainment for the people who are enjoying, whether you're there with your kids or you're there as a couple or just a couple guys hanging out, drinking beers, it's just music that's happening. Maybe movies. We have a huge 20-foot by 14-foot outdoor screen TV, so we can have movies in the park. We may do fashion shows. We can do other types of events. But it's really to always have something going on and really bring in that community into our location.
Sounds so cool.
It is cool.
Yeah.
And what I liked about it and what made me really excited when Aaron first told me about it is, you know, he is going to be pulling in local artists, all different kinds of music too. It's not going to be this loud venue. It's going to be some mellow music, some very different styles. So it's going to be supporting the local businesses and also the local community. And Aaron is really breathing a lot of life into the local community with this project. And what we expect to see is not only to make everybody who lives there happy, but also to bring up the values of real estate, because it's really going to be this center where people want to go. It's going to be very walkable. So anybody who lives within walking distance of that area, we expect to see an increase in their home's value over time.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. And La Mesa's been on the come up for a while. You know, it's getting more and more central, right? It used
Absolutely.
to be, when I first moved here, La Mesa was East County.
Yeah.
Right.
People would say, oh, East County starts at La Mesa, you know, but I don't think people say that anymore. So let's talk about Appreciation Day, because you guys, do you know when you're going to officially open the doors?
Well, this summer. So sometime in July and August. We had some delays. We're back in full construction mode. But as a way to kind of keep the community involved with us, on April 30th, we're having a Patron Appreciation Day. And that day is really fun. It's at the Harry Griffin Park in La Mesa, right behind Grossmont High School. We have about 40 craft vendors, 5 food trucks. We have an amazing list of artists. It's a family event. We have 3 jumpies, face painting, photo booth. It's really about come and see what we're doing. Our head chef will be making food for free as well, and we have a craft soda program, so we'll be doing that as well. No alcohol, and it really is again about bringing the families and really meeting our whole team, seeing who we're about.
And there's a ton of prizes, too.
Yeah.
you
Ton of
guys are
prizes.
giving
Good
away.
loot.
Thank
yeah.
you.
Check
Yes.
out the website that's on the screen right
Right.
now. You don't even have to be present to win, right? That's
Don't have to be present to win. Don't have to buy anything. There's the Taylor Guitar. There's a whole bunch of memberships. We have a whole membership program. There's a ton of prizes that we're giving away.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
For Appreciation Day. And of course, if you can make it, it's a huge party. Basically,
Yeah.
is what you guys are throwing.
Absolutely.
I'll be there.
A huge party, for a family party.
Family
A
party.
community party.
It is.
That's
It is.
cool, and which embodies exactly what you guys are doing.
Absolutely.
So, Elizabeth, let's jump back to the real estate for just a quick minute, because you're a real estate expert. You're a reality TV star now, real estate debate champion. Something like this, when you see something like this coming, and you own a home in the area, what is that? Does that trigger you to start thinking about anything like, hey, this is going to cause my value to go up or down. Should I do anything as a result of that?
I think some residents had a knee-jerk reaction that they were resistant to it, but if I lived nearby, I would be so thrilled because, again, it's somewhere that I would want to go. So anybody living nearby who maybe might be attracted to those sorts of things might want to buy in the area. People look for good schools, good parks, good venues, good restaurants, and walk scores are a big deal. And the kind of cool thing about this is, like, for example, downtown, it's such a walkable community. People buy there because they want walkable. Well, now he's making La Mesa more walkable. You can go, eat, drink, and hear music, and you can walk to it. So absolutely 100%, I expect this to really have an impact, a positive impact on the community, make the area more desirable, and bring up prices.
And if someone is, let's say, and I don't want to call anyone out, but if someone's an old fogey, and they just don't want it, they're thinking, oh, all the music and all the noise and all this stuff, I don't want anything to do with that. Good time to sell, great selling point.
Yes.
Is that this is coming, because that will attract a lot more people than it will detract.
I can set them up, San Diego is the destination county for Prop 60 and Prop 90 for you to transfer your tax base and buy something of equal or lesser value. So if you are, resistant to it and you don't want to live nearby it, absolutely give me a call. I will sell your house for top dollar and find you a nice, quiet place farther away.
Well, fantastic stuff, Elizabeth. Thank you so much for bringing her on. Aaron, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. And
Thank
what a
you for having
great
me.
idea. People are going to be copying this for sure. Check out the Appreciation Day. If you can't make it there, go to the website on the screen and register for the prizes. Why not? You don't have to be present to win. That's Smarter. Stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else, commercial free.
People being able to walk to get something to eat or walk to the beach, those are all things that will improve everybody's quality of life.
Because I think at our stage of life, we need that. We need to feel that we can have some fun and not feel guilty.
We look for people who care about our seniors and who want to work at Wesley Palms.
Because everybody's idea of what's best is very different.
I'm looking forward to signing up.
Yeah, we'll have a place for you.
Our next guest is a medical doctor who practices as an integrated care physician, and he assists patients and their family members through complex medical situations as well as end of life. With that, I'd like to introduce Dr. Bob Uslander.
Thank you. Dr. Bob, if we may say that. Thank you for being here today.
Absolutely.
And we know life is a journey, and your journey went from UCLA, where you earned your earned your degree as a physician, ER doctor, to integrated care doctor today. Tell us what that means, or tell us about your journey to get there.
Sure, yeah, I'd be happy to. It's a journey that I wasn't certainly planning. It wasn't where I thought I would end up, but it's where I clearly belong, and I'm grateful to have found this path. So I spent about 22 years as an emergency physician. After finishing medical school, that to me just felt like the way that I could practice the most pure form of medicine, and it was a wonderful career, a lot of wonderful experiences. And in practicing emergency medicine, I got to firsthand see a lot of the challenges and struggles in the system, and a lot of the challenges and struggles that patients and families went through. And I became very aware of the challenges that were especially prevalent for older adults and those dealing with complex health issues. I had about 10 years into my career, I had a change that came over me and a new awareness when I had a friend who was 32 die of melanoma. And I helped him at the end of his life, and I brought in, along with his family, the hospice team to guide him. And until then, I'd really never known what hospice did. And I experienced something that was so profound that it changed the way that I think about healthcare and the way I think about what we can, as physicians and caregivers, provide for patients. And that really had a huge impact on me, and it planted a seed. And then I continued practicing emergency medicine. I knew that I was going to be transitioning into a different path. Didn't know when. I came to San Diego about 4 years ago, and I had just sort of an epiphany shortly after I got here. And I realized at that point that I was really called to help people at the end of their life, to help them die and to help them prepare for the best possible life as things were coming to an end.
Your integrated medical service combines both medical and non-medical services. So can you explain a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. So while I was practicing in this traditional model of palliative care and hospice, it became very clear to me that there were still some huge gaps and holes in the care that was being delivered. And one of the big gaps was, especially at the end of life, the physician is sort of taken out of the equation. All of that is handled predominantly by nurses. At a time when people really need the most care, they're the most vulnerable, there's the most fear, the physician is usually not present any longer. So number one, I wanted to change that. I wanted to be a very strong presence in the house, in the home, and with the family to guide them and provide
Because it's not just
care.
the patient, it's the family
Absolutely.
as
well. They're often, and they could be coming from different parts of the world and trying to figure out how to be of support, and they have major challenges. And then in addition, there's a lot of people who have all these other types of services that become necessary to keep somebody living safely with dignity in their own homes. In-home caregivers, nursing support, physical therapists, nutrition, you name it. And there has been nobody, especially a physician, helping to coordinate and integrate those things. So they've all been sort of piecemealed, and it puts incredible stress on the families. So we help to take on coordinating and integrating those types of things to fully support people.
And from your non-medical services, I know my mom's in the final stages of vascular dementia. Music from her era, from the 40s, just you can still see her beam from inside out.
Powerful, it lights them up.
Yep.
So that was the other piece of this, is I wanted to try to bridge the Western medicine with what people are looking for out of Eastern medicine, or not even Eastern medicine, integrative type services, a more holistic approach. We look at each human being as a person who has a diverse set of needs, and then we try to figure out what we can do to fulfill those needs. Peace of mind and comfort and dignity are top priorities. So we have a music therapist, we have massage therapists, we have acupuncturists, we have a gourmet chef who focuses on nutrition, and we provide physical therapy or restorative yoga.
I mean, I can't wait for this to explode in San Diego and elsewhere. The other thing we want to talk about is your new position, the medical director at Comfort Keepers. Dr. Bob, tell us what that entails and what that means.
About 12 years ago, I started a company that does in-home care for seniors. It's called Seniority Life Care at Home, and that's in Northern California, in the community that I used to live in. And I recognized that there was just not enough, that those caregivers were providing an incredible service for people in their homes, but no one recognized how much they did, and so the physician was completely disconnected from that. When I met the owners of Comfort Keepers here, Matthew and Sherry, we just had a very similar philosophy about caring for people and providing high quality. And so I make recommendations for certain services to my patients and their families, and I want to make sure that I'm only using the highest quality providers and that I know the heart of the people who are providing those services. And so Comfort Keepers approached me about helping to do some training with their caregivers and help share the philosophy of palliative care and make sure that they had some additional support at a higher level for the clients that they were serving. And it was an opportunity for me to know that when I'm making recommendations for that kind of care, I know the level of care that's being delivered, and if there's an issue, I can go right to the people who are in charge.
Well, we really thank you for joining us today, and we really applaud this journey that you have taken over the last 22 years to move into integrated care medicine. And Patty and I are just huge advocates of the word palliative care and end of life and end of life quality care, and you're bringing this together, and we really can't wait to see it explode on the scene here in San Diego, and we're very excited about the prospects. So stick around. Senior Stay or Go. We'll be right back.
With the help of Comfort Keepers, I'm keeping my mom healthy.
I'm keeping Dad on schedule.
I'm keeping my mom happy. Comfort Keepers in-home professional caregivers can provide meal planning and preparation, health and wellness services, and personal care services through custom care plans that can change as needs change, so your aging loved ones can stay happy and healthy in their own home.
Comfort Keepers, keeping the comfort of home.
Good morning. morning, our next guest has been in the senior housing industry for over 18 years, and she is a certified aging service professional. She, like many of us, has had her own personal journey with her family members, and from that has become an author of 2 books, her latest book being Your Senior Housing Options. And with that, I'd like to introduce Diane Masson. Welcome, Diane.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Diane, thank you for coming to San Diego today. Tell us why you decided, or give us the details of why you decided to write these books.
I'd be happy to. When my mother and I went out 20 years ago looking at retirement communities, we didn't know how to find a great one versus a mediocre one. So we literally had to educate ourselves. And we went to 20 different places over a 2-year period of time till my mom found the perfect place for her. And it was a continuing care retirement community up in Seattle, Washington. 6 months later, I was working where my mother lived. And after all these years in educating seniors and helping them, I've actually seen seniors be smart and plan ahead like my mother did at 75 years old. And then I've also seen them wait till a crisis like my in-laws did, where they were both in a hospital. The doctor had to say to both of them, I'm sorry, you need 24/7 care. And one of them needed to move into skilled nursing and the other one needed to move to assisted living in a crisis. So I've seen it both, and so that's why I wrote this book as a resource so that people know the right questions to ask and what the options are and how much they cost.
It is a great resource, and I know, Patty, you had a question about that.
So when is the right time to move? Because I've lived this journey just like you did. I wasn't smart enough to write a book, but I have lived this journey.
Well, if they have a history of having some falls, if they've gotten into some fender benders, if they've just been diagnosed with some kind of progressive disease like Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, MS, arthritis, diabetes, or maybe the day-to-day basics have just become too difficult for them, where just to go to the grocery store, get some groceries, bring them home, make a nutritional meal, and then do the dishes has just become too much.
Okay.
And we find socialization, I think, is one that you will find is really one of the main reasons to go. Would that be true?
Absolutely.
So you have 5 tips that we want to share with the viewers, and the 5 main tips on exploring senior housing options. And the first tip is find out how much debt is on the retirement community. Explain what that means.
Well, when you're out looking at a retirement community, you have a right to find out, do they have a mortgage? So ask them, do you have a mortgage and how much is on it? Because what a lot of people don't know is when you're on a fixed income as a senior, and none of the seniors got raises with Social Security this year, and so what is the year-over-year monthly increase going to be at that retirement community? And if it's over 5-6%, typically they have some kind of a mortgage.
When someone is trying to find the community that best meets their needs, one of the questions, one of your tips is to make sure there's vibrant people that live there. You could probably tell maybe more visually than actually even asking the question, but what do you tell people to look and listen for?
I actually tell them to go to some of the activities that they're offering there. Ask for an activity calendar. Maybe go on an outing, a trip with the other residents, and see for yourself what's happening. See what kind of instructors they have and if you like them for the exercise classes and things like that.
One of the things that Patty and I always tell people is a lot of these fabulous communities are bringing in 4-star, 5-star chefs from the hotels. So talk a little bit about that as a tip.
Well, and you want to see if they have multiple dining venues as well. So I say try the food multiple times, try them in all the different restaurants they offer, because right now a senior might be able to drive and get some of their own groceries and make their own food. But when you get to the point where you're 100% dependent upon the food at the community, you want it to be great and you want to have multiple dining venues.
That's a great point. And
you don't want the hockey puck hamburgers that my dad used to complain about.
That's right.
Well, I always say, because obviously the communities want, that's the way they market in terms of they want you to come and try them out. And that food is still, food is still one of the top ways to know if this place is the right place for you. Patty?
So one of the other tips is to understand the longevity of the staff, because a lot of communities, staff comes and goes, and that is not only difficult on the community to manage, but it's also difficult for the residents because they do get attached to the staff. what is one of your advice when you're talking about asking that type of question?
Well, probably the easiest way is if you're going to 4 retirement communities, ask at every single one, how long has the administrator worked here? And typically 3 out of 4, the answer will be less than a year.
Wow.
And in skilled nursing in particular, there's a lot of turnover. So it's an important question to ask, and you want to have management staff that is experienced so that they can train the frontline staff really how to take care of the residents.
And you've brought up a term, continuing care retirement community, and one of the tips is to ask the question, do they offer guaranteed care? Explain the term CCRC and then guaranteed care.
Well, when my mother moved into a continuing care retirement community, she lived in independent living for 8 years, assisted living for 7, and skilled nursing for 2. So it had all 3 levels of care. That's continuing care. And what I didn't know and what my mother didn't know when I started this journey was that she was going to run out of resources because she ended up being in a higher level of care for a really long period of time. And so 9 years between assisted living and skilled nursing. And the statistics is that 20% of us are going to need to do that for over 5 years. So you want to find out, because when my mom ran out of her resources and she was on a Good Samaritan Fund there that they offered, I said, okay, so she's going on the Good Samaritan Fund. And they said, well, there's 10 people on it, it's full. So unfortunately for a resident, fortunately for my mother, one of those people passed away and my mother became number 10. So you want to dig down to a lower level where you really find out what happens if you outlive your resources. And there's some places out there that offer a guarantee of care for life if you outlive your resources in independent living, assisted living, or skilled nursing.
So all of these questions and answers are right here in the book that you've published, your Senior Housing Options, available on Amazon. And Diane, it's really, we have read it a couple times because, again, most of our clients are facing this decision. And it's just a great read. It's so much information, and really for not so much maybe the parents, but as for the children who really need to take this and sit around the table and all read it together and really understand your options so they do the right thing. So now we thank you so much for being here today. Hopefully you will continue to publish articles, you'll continue to write books, and it's really an honor to have you down here today. So stick around for more Senior Stay or Go TV.
Are you modern or classic?
Flip-flops or hiking boots?
Binoculars or reading glasses? Surf or turf?
Today we have 3 wonderful guests from Frederica Manor, a senior community here in San Diego. Our first guest is Kim Prendergast, who's the Director of Sales and Marketing at Frederica Manor. And then we have 2 wonderful residents from Frederica Manor, Gary Prickett and Mary Clemens. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for driving up today. You're very pleased to announce that you won an award for the National Association of Home Builders, awarded Frederica Manor Gold for the best 65-plus indoor common or amenity space for the reimagined lounge and dining areas. That is fantastic. Congratulations. And I just got to enjoy lunch there. It was beautiful. So tell us, Kim, about some of the design elements at Frederica Manor that went into this award-winning space.
Well, I think the most imaginative part of it was that it melted this outdoor space into the indoor. And that is that it took the natural color and beauty of Frederica Manor that has a lot of trees, unique trees. It has a beautiful pond. It has birds and ducks and fish that are right outside of that dining room area. And they brought those elements in with the color scheme, with the beautiful way that they kind of landscaped the inside, like they landscaped the outside. And when you walk into that room, you get a sense of freshness and relaxation, and you feel like you're home.
It's really beautiful, and you can get tours at any time if you like to come down and visit Frederica Manor.
Absolutely. I mean, our whole goal is for people to come and see what Frederica Manor is. I think that we're the jewel in the crown in South Bay that people don't know about. And once they do come to our community, they realize that they get the beauty of our community in the convenience of being close to the freeway and just a few miles from the beach.
And it really is much like a park setting. So Mary, ladies first, what made you decide in your decision-making process to choose Frederica Manor?
Well, when I started looking for a retirement community, I had no experience at all. I soon learned about what senior communities are like and what variety there are. And so I looked at about 10 places. I wanted to stay in San Diego, and Frederica happened to be the last place I looked at. And I thought I had decided on a couple of other places until I saw Frederica. And what really sold me, well, first of all, it had everything I wanted. It had all levels of care. It was in a community where you can walk off the campus and you're right down in the charming little village of Chula Vista. And it had people. I was looking for daily people in my life. I didn't want to live in a house by myself. My husband had died. So it had all those things I was looking for, but then it had something I had never expected, which was the cottages. And that really sold me when I found that I could have all levels of care and everything I wanted, and a cottage on top of that.
Boy.
That was really the selling point.
So the follow-up question to that is, one of the things that stops people from doing this great advancement for their health and for their life is the moving process. Tell us a little bit about your moving process.
Well, I was amazingly graced in my moving because I knew nothing about it. I didn't know how I was ever going to get out of my house. My husband had lived there since '56, and he was a hoarder, never, ever, ever, ever gave anything away. And I thought, I don't know how I'll ever get out of this house. But what happened was my real estate agent said, if you choose me, I'll throw in the move manager.
You were blessed by a great team surrounding you to make this move.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic.
Well, I had been living by myself for about 3.5 years. My wife was really the director of recreation for our family, and when she was gone, I was no longer getting out with new people. And so I was certainly looking for that, which I have found at Frederica Manor.
Fantastic.
That's awesome.
Kim, what other changes are taking place at Frederica Manor?
Well, I think that one of the things that we've improved upon and also on a constant basis are adding to is the fitness center that we have in our community. And part of that is because we have a fabulous fitness director too. Stacy Buffington has made sure to keep up with all the requests that our residents are wanting. And just in the 2 years that I've been there as the sales director, she's probably doubled the amount of classes that she has.
Wow.
Whether they're a dance class, a lot of balance, a lot of strength training. We have a wonderful cyber-cycle program that is connected with many other communities throughout the nation. And our cyber-cycle team, which is probably about 20 people that are very active at Frederica Manor, have won quite a few awards in their age group.
So is that some special summer events you have coming up that you can tell us about?
Well, we have events all the time, but one of them is moving to Frederica Manor is a piece of cake, and we're going to talk exactly about what Mary was saying and how it's not a daunting task. It could seem like it, but it doesn't have to be. We have professional move managers, we have professionals in the estate business and real estate agents that are going to come and talk about that process. But I always like to say that moving to Frederica Manor is kind of like finding the fountain of youth, because we do have people that move to Frederica Manor and they find vitality again in their lives because it's easy to make friends. Activities are right out their door. They don't have to try hard to get out there and socialize and have a personal connection with other people.
Gary, so what are some of the activities that you are involved with, both inside and outside of Frederica?
I've never been part of group exercise programs, but that's here, and that's part of the socialization. It's a lot of fun, and Stacy Buffington does a marvelous job of that. The other things that I'm involved in, at least on the outside, are motorcycle riding and traveling. And part of my reason for moving to Frederica was because I could have inside parking for my garage. That's a big deal in my life, and I hope it will be for some period of time. As far as how that ties in with Frederica, coincidentally this Friday I'm having a presentation called a Staycation, where I'm going to be speaking for, I guess it's about an hour, on my many trips around the world on a motorcycle and some of the adventures that I've had.
And Mary, when you made your choice, it was something that you thought a while about. But if someone came to you and said, okay, Mary, I've been thinking about this, what should I consider, and how could what you did help me take the plunge?
Well, I think the thing that made me move, the bottom line, was that I couldn't imagine myself just living in the house all by myself. Yes, I'd see my relatives on my birthday or Christmas or Thanksgiving, but I wouldn't have daily people in my life. I did have a job for a while. The first year I lived at Frederica. I worked at SeaWorld in the education department, but once I decided to retire from that, I really thought, I don't think I want to be here by myself. I want people. So that was really the thing I would say to the person. You know, do you have people in your life? And I don't think people should think about retirement as sitting in a rocking chair on the porch and saying hello to the neighbors, but I really think they should be active and creative.
And do all the things you didn't have time to do before,
exactly,
right?
Exactly, you know.
Well, we thank the three of you for joining us today, and the three of you really empower other adults to live, work, and you work and play to their highest quality of life, and we really applaud your efforts to help others achieve those goals.
Welcome to Frederica Manor Retirement Community, nestled on 24 acres of park-like landscaping, with garden cottages and apartments in a small town setting, views everywhere you turn, and full-service amenities are just outside your door. All levels of care are available when you need it. Frederica Manor Retirement Community in Chula Vista. Visit fredericamanor.org.
Hey, great show, guys. That's a wrap. Jade, what's your schedule look like? Do you mind breaking down the set?
Not today, Derek. I'd love to, but there's waves out there. I gotta go. Angela? Nikki?
Yeah, I gotta go beat traffic. And I think Nikki's making something up there.
Look at this. We did this. We did all of this.